Hello, welcome to HRA Geopolitics. Today I have a valuable guest from India, my dear friend, and India foreign policy analyst, an expert on especially Asia Pacific politics and trade. Luit, welcome.
Thank you, Harun. It has been quite some time that we have spoken. So let's hope we will have a very fruitful discussion.
I hope so, especially for our followers. They are very interested in the last time. There are so many things and incidents going on in the Asia Pacific region, especially also, connected to India. But of course, the recent developments in India, especially in Kashmir state, on Tuesday, if I remember well, with the terrorist attack and losing more than 25, 26 persons, as I know. I hope it doesn't increase anymore. So I think it is better to start with the more recent development. And my first question would to you, what happened exactly in Kashmir state? Who was behind, or who the Indian government and thinking is behind, especially when there are many hard wordings on the center politics against Pakistan? And of course, do you think this terrorist attack will again lead these two nuclear armed countries into a direct conflict?
Well, there are a lot of questions in that part. So let me try to dissect them one by one. Uh, every present has a past, right? So as far as the Union territory of Jammu and Kashmir is concerned, so we have to go back for a couple of years back when Article 371 was removed in Jammu and Kashmir, and it was no longer a state, but rather became a union territory. Okay, so in India we have different level of administrative divisions. The highest is the state, which has its own chief minister, which has its own legislature. Below that, we have something called union territory. So union territory is directly governed from center, that is Delhi. The main point person is no longer a elected civilian politician or a chief minister, or you can say like you have governor in an American state. We have chief minister in the state. Well, some major union territories may have chief minister like Delhi or Puducherry, but in Jammu and Kashmir, uh, you know, the chief ministership was removed for the time being. It was directly controlled by the governor, who is appointed by the center, which is Delhi. Essentially, it is a rule from the center. Now, because together with that, central government had taken a lot of steps, which in the ground seems to have integrated the state with the rest of India. The state had its own legal code before, it has its own flag, it has its own constitution. The writ of the Indian state was limited, and the Indian constitution was limited in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Okay, so so it was, you can say, it was a state within a state. I will give you some examples of how the business was conducted in the erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir. The they have made so many rules and regulations which were essentially discriminatory to the people who were living within the territory itself. It was giving importance to the ethnic Sunni Kashmiris while discriminating the non-Sunni population. For example, you have the Shia population in Jammu and Kashmir as well as Ladakh. You have the Buddhist population in Ladakh. So Ladakh is the biggest division of erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir, which is now a separate union territory in itself. It has now been completely separated from the previous state of Jammu and Kashmir. Then you have the another majority of Hindus in the Jammu. So it was a highly discriminatory system, which was a state within a state, which the entire system was removed. The writ of the Indian constitution was fully enforced, and that also led to complete collapse of uh, a sort of black economy and black system within that state, which has got a form since 1947, since the amalgamation of the state with the rest of India post partition. Now, within this period, well, we can say that Pakistan, which always had an ideological view regarding Kashmir, because Kashmir Valley is majority Muslim. You have to understand, out of the entire state of Jammu and Kashmir, they actually have three divisions. Ladakh, which is the
Mhm.
biggest one, which is mostly Buddhist dominated. Then you have
Mhm.
Kashmir. The Kashmir Valley is actually a very small area of the Jammu and Kashmir state. It's barely 100 kilometer by 100 kilometers square. Then you have the Jammu division. So Kashmiris, actually Kashmiri Sunni Muslims are confined, were about 70% of the population, but they were only confined to an area of 100 by 100 square kilometer. The biggest one was for the Buddhists, who were maybe around 5% of the population, and remaining 25% the Hindus based in Jammu. Okay, so we have to understand how the geography and the demography of the place is concerned. Now, within uh, Jammu Kashmir as such, you not only have ethnic Kashmiri Muslims, you also have other non-ethnic Kashmiri Muslims whose mother tongue is not Kashmiri. They are Muslims, of course, but they don't identify themselves as Kashmiri, like Gujars, Bakarwals, etc. Now, those people, as per Indian Constitution, should have received some positive affirmation, benefits of positive affirmation. And these people are mostly tribals. Okay, just like you have the Pashtun tribes in Afghanistan, Pakistan area. These are people who are mostly shepherds. So their economic condition is not very good. Now, in the S1 state of Jammu and Kashmir, the affirmative actions which are enshrined in the Indian Constitution were not applicable to the Gujar Bakarwal community as ST. They were not getting any affirmation benefits of the affirmation policy. Similarly, you have scheduled caste Hindus in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. They were also not getting those benefits of the affirmation policy. So these are some of the discriminatory policies which erstwhile state of Jammu and Kashmir had. Now, once Article 370 was abrogated and the entire state was broken up into two union territories, and central policies were firmly implemented, the entire ecosystem, political, economic nexus, which has evolved there since 1947-48, has been affected. So they are bound to hit back in one way or another. One of the
Mhm.
benefits of abrogation of Article 371 has been, since center has taken direct command of law and order and civilian administration on the ground, again it seems law and order and infrastructure has dramatically improved. Because earlier, the money which was going to from the center to the state for infrastructure development, the center could not account it for. Now, Indian government has a internal auditing agency called CAG, Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Our esteemed viewers can check it its website. They have the constitutional authority to do auditing of each and every state government. But under Article 371, they could not do so for the state of Jammu and Kashmir and for the government of Jammu and Kashmir. So
Mhm.
now, so earlier, whatever the money we used to go into the pockets of the politicians and various state bureaucrats. Okay. Now in India, we have two systems of bureaucrats. One is the central government bureaucrats, then each state has its own bureaucracy, which can, uh, you know, recruit and keep it themselves. That's completely autonomous system. So all those checks and balances which normally exist didn't used to exist in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. After 371, uh, those barriers are broken. The central auditing agencies can audit them. The money is going where it is going. So a lot of infrastructure development has happened. And as a repercussion of it, there has been boom in the tourism sector. Now, the benefit of tourism sector is lot of ordinary Kashmiri people are getting money directly into their pockets, not via the politician and the middleman who would have been doing graft and giving the money to them. So, the legacy, I would say, the legacy establishment, which was playing a lot of interesting games, shall we say, they are bound to hit back. And well, we were expecting something or like this now or maybe in some time. And incidentally, it has also been not a very good time for Pakistan for last 2 3 years. The economy is in a mess. Uh, The army is also has been under attack by civilian politicians and by various civilian activists. You have seen what's happening in Balochistan, where it's being restive because the economic condition of Pakistan has been going bad, and obviously the military is not capable enough to run a civilian and complex economy. I think it is very logical that some or other kind of activity would be carried out backed by Pakistan army base, I would say, non-regular forces in India as a way to that maybe divert the home, whatever the disenchantment with the military, and this is the repercussion of that. So what, as far as we know, what happened was there was a nice meadow out there, filled with mountains and small streams. A lot of tourists who are from rest of India have been there, and about 25, 27. It was a huge group, around 50 to 60 people. 25 to 27 gens were separated based on religion. The whoever those guys were, those militants or Islamists, I would say, or jihadis, they filtered their victims based on religion. They are, they were asked to, well, pull down their pants, recite the Islamic declaration of faith, and those who, and well, most of them they could figure out by Hindus. They were shot at sight out there. The ladies and the children were allowed to go back. Uh, Among the victims, there was a local person of non-Kashmiri Muslim ethnicity. As I said, Kashmir is not only Kashmiris; there are non-Kashmiri Muslims also. That
Mhm.
poor chap has to be uh, a Gujar person from Gujar Bakalwar background. He tried to save, protect some of the tourists, and he was also shot down by those jihadists. And well, uh, I think two or three of the jihadists were the Indian response. It seems was pretty. The Indian military response was quite fast. They were able to get back, and they were able to, terminate two of the militants then and there. They could not really run away to Pakistan, but yeah, the other about couple of 7 or 8 other militants, they are still being hunted. As far as we are concerned, look, India and Pakistan, it's a very cat and mouse kind of game. Pakistan is obsessed with the Kashmir. However, they are not strong enough or to snatch it from India. They also have their lot of internal problems, and I think Pakistani state, which is basically the military, the army establishment. I won't count the air force and the navy as part of the establishment. It's basically run by Pakistani army. They will try something or other to divert the popular discontent towards India. Uh, I think India would be responding in some way. Uh, India has put some measures already, which I'm not sure would really hit Pakistan very hard, but they're more symbolic. For example, India has asked all the Pakistani travelers who are in India to get back to be, to live India as soon as possible. There was an old water sharing treaty called Indus River Treaty. India has walked out of that treaty, but these are more symbolic. Now, the Indus Water Treaty involves multiple rivers and stopping the water from flowing to Pakistan. Well, we have to build multi-billion-dollar dams to divert the waters. It's more of a symbolic. Practically, India wouldn't be able to do anything. But you should expect that there would be some sort of military response from the Indian state because the jihadis who did this, I think they have already publicly declared, and it is one of the uh, various affiliates of Jaish-e-Mohammed, if I'm correct. So Jaish-e-Mohammed is a known uh, entity backed by the Pakistani army, among several others. So there would be some sort of but measured response. As far as war or bigger conflict, I don't really think it to be so. Pakistan would try to entice and do something to bring international uh, attention, media attention towards itself. But I think India is not going to fall into that.
Mhm. So you don't think that something similar to Balakot strikes like in past will happen, but more like a symbolic words of force between the two of them?
Yes, I think some sort of a Balakot or near about that range of activity would be there.
Mhm.
But I do not expect it to go to any sort of war, even something like Kargil war, no. But some sort of hit back is there because India and Pakistan have this historic issue regarding Kashmir and Pakistan's obsession regarding Kashmir. The only way to stop it in some way or other, one country has to prevail about on the other because India has multiple times tried to befriend Pakistan. Our prime ministers have gone there. Whenever they go, within a couple of months, a couple of weeks, there is some hit back by Pakistani army against their civilian leaders. So this is not the first time. Mr. Modi went to Mr. Nawaz Sharif, and then Uri happened. Before that, our ex Prime Minister in the 1990s, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, went to Lahore to meet again Mr. Sharif during his earlier premiership. Then Kargil happened. So
Mhm.
the issue is not the people of Pakistan or the civilian leadership, the politicians. It is the military state establishment of Pakistan, which is
Mhm.
obsessed with Kashmir and India. So I think
Mhm.
we have to do something to tame and crush and domesticate this military establishment.
Mhm. Okay. You you mean then, especially regarding any direct confrontation will not be happen, but more than if any military attack will happen, it will be more symbolic, and especially just for a few hours, like the Balakot strikes or specific targets on terrorist sites, etc. Of course, we hope that all of this will not accelerate into a big war, because we are talking about two major nuclear states over there. And if we add also China into perspective, because one of the border problems is also existing with China in the area, if I remember, with Aksai Chin, right, the region. So I'm sure the Chinese is also maybe directly, not directly, but indirectly, anyhow involved. So I'm moving to my second question, which will make it more plausible, especially regarding China. For some weeks ago, there was this meeting with Trump and Modi. And actually, we, with you, planned to do a meeting, a program about this. But yeah, we were both busy, and you were for a while sick. Hope you recover. You recover very soon. We couldn't do the program, but when we go back to that particular meeting, where both of the politicians have promised each other so much, and the United States were praising India as a major ally, which is very interesting after the Cold War era, where India was a bit like an enemy state acting with the Russians. But India, at the same time, don't want to separate itself with the Russian connection too. So, what is this actually this euphoria, especially also in India? Is the United States the new ally? Will India go to war against China because of the Americans want that? Or you think that's all a political stunt? India will have still his famous, um, you know, uh, politics where it is not taking or picking any side like in past. What do you think about that?
Well, I would say that India is playing the same role or the game as any smart state would play, which is not the major player. Remember, India is not the one of the major players in either global economy or in military or in technology. That position goes to US, Russia, and China. So India is you can say emerging middle power at most. We have a lot of our issues. We neither have time nor energy nor our resources to make wars against others, this China, or we would also not be any treaty ally of any country. As far as our concern is pure and simple home economy, domestic economy. We have a huge population base of around 1.4 billion people. Our per capita GDP is less than $3,000 per year, which is at par with the sub-Saharan Africa. So people should never forget about those things. Yes, we may have few nuclear devices, few ballistic missiles, which are basically for our own defense. But our most important factor is how we can improve the lives of our citizens. So towards that end, we have kept very good relationship with the Russian Federation. We also see there is opportunity for us maybe to get some manufacturing jobs in the current global order, where definitely there is a offshoring from East Asia as such. Uh,
Mhm.
Vietnam being one of the Vietnam, Thailand being one of the main beneficiaries. In fact, they have been the major beneficiary. So maybe we would also like to have some benefit of the same. Uh, you know, we are a non-industrialized economy. Let's be very clear about that. We don't have ability to manufacture any of the high-end goods or services. Even our own weapons, most of them we import from either from Russian Federation or from Western Europe or from US. So we need all of them, all of their support in order to raise and improve our own condition. So Indian foreign policy is primarily like American foreign policy in just after the independence. Remember when the Napoleonic War was being fought, uh, Britain and France was fighting. US was doing business with both France and the United Kingdom. It was not playing fiddle for any of them. So same is the situation for us. We have a lot of people, we have a youth bulge. We need to get them jobs, and our whole focus is essentially towards that end.
Mhm. I think both countries, I see their similarities. We have talked with you about this a lot, if you remember, Luit. I think especially Turkey and India has their own unique situations, and I see
Correct.
India in that very similar context. It is an emerging regional power in its own region, but has its own problems. But at the same time, because of the regional advantages and sometimes disadvantages, it has to work with all sides to improve their trade and to survive all of the problems, all of the sufferings what we are seeing right now in the world, especially with the trade wars coming. When I'm talking to people here, of course they're just watching some media attention of India politics. I know it very well. They believe it
Yeah.
everything literally what they say, and I say,
Mhm.
uh, look, when you listen to Indian politics or Indian media, just listen, never take it literally. Action and ratings on one side is something different, but the Indian foreign policy, especially on the bureaucracy side, I see it has never changed. And I'm
Correct.
talking to the people and saying, India will not drag himself, and that is not the tradition of India, into any war against anyone because anyone wants. But people, of course, are maybe too much influenced about the American, rhetoric in the last time about India because of the war in China. But that will never happen because, on one hand, yes, India has its border problems with China. Yes,
Correct.
it has some, past problems, but at the same time, it has a huge of trade with China. It cannot
Correct.
just in one day cut it off. So I agree there wholeheartedly with you about that. And thank you very much for your points. If you move to the next question, if you allow me,
Sure. Sure.
my last question would it be? I know you're very tired. Thank you very much for joining. My last question would be, especially on the defense segment. There are many followers who are curious about all of the defense production around the world and the defense trade. And Turkey is also emerging power right now in defense production. And India is also slowly, ramping up its manufacturing plants. There are some close interactions with the United States about the F-35, for example. And there was also talk in past about the F-16 production plant in India. but none of them has materialized. India has spoken a lot with the United States, but at the end always went to its old partner, France. Do you think in the next time the defense spendings and purchase, especially in big format, like buying the F-35, buying F-16s from the United States, when we know that India is working for many years with French and Russian material, do you think such a big steps will come from India, or is it just right now, let's look to the products, but then move on with the French or Russians?
Well, this is a this question of this field or the should be seen from multiple perspectives.
Mhm.
First and foremost, thing, India is not an industrialized state, as we have already discussed. So India has no capacity of integrating a fifth generation fighter like F-35. So that is beyond India's ability. The expenses themselves are so prohibitive, India cannot afford it. Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of fanboys or and internet warriors who would be talking about F-35. India cannot afford it. We should not entertain such for at all. As far as F-16 is concerned, I think F-16 that the old versions are not acceptable to India at all. Those were vintage variety, and the latest varieties, I really doubt US will sell it to India because remember, India has a lot of Russian equipment. Okay, so Indian system is primarily Russian based. I don't think US will allow integration of US hardware with the Russian hardware. And if that is not allowed, what is the point of having that F-16 at all? Because then F-16 would not be able to talk to other aircrafts of Indian Air Force or Indian Navy, like MiG-29 and Sukhoi 30, etc. So I believe both, as far as the fighter aircrafts are concerned, they are. I don't think it is feasible, or US will actually allow them. Will have conditions which will make it impossible for India to purchase from US. However, in defense sector, I think there would be lot of synergy, lot of cooperation with the US as such. India has a lot of other needs. For example, transport aircraft, helicopters, maybe various kind of radars, sonars. You know, may not be the entire platform, but a lot of ancillary platforms, lot of systems, subsystems. In those fields, I believe there would be huge amount of cooperation with the US. Many Indian firms have already created JVs with US firms for manufacturing of such complete systems or subsystems in India. So there would be a lot of cooperation, not only with France and Russian Federation. We are also cooperating with Turkey as well for manufacturing of some warships. So India will be uh, using multiple vendors for its defense requirements. US would be one of them, but US would not be the sole or the main vendor for India's defense because, as I said, uh, India would not like to put all the eggs in one basket. Let's
Mhm.
keep it that way.
That means the old defense politics of India is still continuing. That means diversification. But you don't think that it will be, especially in high tech format, major platforms like F-35s, are not feasible for a state like India because its geography is really huge, and to cover that with such an fifth generation foreign fighter jets, I think you need a lot of budget. Even with Rafael, if you remember, it was first, if I remember well, they wanted to buy over 120 pieces, but then at the end they landed with 36. So of course, for this geography to spend so much money in Indian perspective is a bit problematic. And I understand
Correct.
you also with the concern that the Americans, especially sugarcoating most of the countries, especially countries who are, sourcing their materials from Russian Federation, to show them, look, we have better materials, just don't buy anymore from them and go for ours. But I understand, yes. So your idea is you don't think that India will go this way, but on the manufacturing side, they will collaborate with many countries like in past and improve their manufacturing capabilities, as I have understood, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Right now, India is also trying to source technology and try to form JVs for manufacture of jet engine. So India has been trying to make jet engine for last 40 years. India has made a jet engine, but let's say it is to a subpar, not up to the expectation. So India is looking for technical cooperation from various countries, US being one of them. And there is a lot of business out there as far as defense sector is concerned because India has a lot of hardware and India has right now enough money for doing those things. But yes, not for the extreme cutting edge like F-35. Should be very cost prohibitive as far as India is concerned.
Thank you very much, Luit. It was really nice to talk to you again about these important subjects, and I'm sure my followers are thinking the same. Your last words about the program and in general to our followers.
Yeah, hello everybody. So I try to give my perspective regarding what's happening in and around India, as well as relationship of India with the major powers like China, Russian Federation, obviously US. However, I have also a lot of questions regarding Turkey and Turkey's neighborhood, both Eastern Europe as well as West Asia. And we hope we will have some discussion regarding the same in the future, the near future.
Yes. Stay tuned. As Luis is saying, we are planning also in near future a program about Turkey-India relations, which is sometimes lukewarm, but we want to talk what are the advantages, how these both major nations can work together. We will have a program about this hopefully when Luis is also recovered fully. Thank you again for joining us, Luis. And people, don't forget, follow us, HRA Geopolitics. TRA Jeopolitik takip etmeyi unutmayın arkadaşlar. Dinlediğiniz için çok teşekkür ederim. Sağlıcakla kalın. Görüşmek üzere diyorum. Bye bye.
Bye bye, everybody.